everybody. Welcome to Spill the Immunity. I am Bree. I'm here with Alex and Brandon. We are going to recap episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Australian Survivor Titans versus Rebels. I am so excited. Can I just say how excited I am that we actually get 3 episodes a week, and I just need that. I didn't realize how much I needed it. So we had that dry spell of no Survivor, and now it's just Survivor abundance.
My wife hates watching shows when they're like out every Tuesday at 8 and you have to wait and you have to wait and you have to wait. And we're trying our hardest to catch up with Survivor, and we accomplished it this week. But it's man, you can always watch a new episode. It's so good, so good. When we still have U.S. Survivor to do that with here pretty soon.
I know we're going to have a packed week when U.S. Survivor starts. They've leaked the cast. We're going to have a special episode on our quick take on what we think of this new cast. I've already been investigating them, and I'm excited for some of them. There's one gal that Kelly Wentworth really likes, and I like her too. I think her name is Kristen, and she was saying stuff about don't tell anybody anything. Shut the blank up, right? And so I think that's good words of advice for anyone that goes and plays Survivor. Good morning, Bobby. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Bobby. We really appreciate it. You're always here, and we take notice of that, and we love having you hang out with us. Alex, what are you thinking about like what's been happening? How do you like all of these episodes? Is it hard to keep up?
No, I've been really liking the episodes, clocking out of work and we have a little dinner, watch some Survivor. It's like Survivor night every night. It's a dream come true. So I really like the 3 episodes in a row. I wish they could just do them all week. Survivor every day of the week, all week. That'd be a.
That's called Love Island. So.
Oh yeah, I've never watched that.
That's what that is. I think it's really funny because, like in the UK, right? So they had Traitors come out. We had Traitors US come out, but UK is already done because they're giving you 3 or 4 episodes a week, right? So and now they do that in Australia with Survivor. So I'm wondering if it's like a thing where they don't have the patience to wait, and that's how they like to consume their TV shows, is to see them frequently during a week. We want to get start to finish in like a month and a half's time, and we don't want to wait for them. Where the US, we string it out, right? And then they'll have that like random skip a week, especially at the holidays, and then it's like, oh, it's not on, it's Thanksgiving week, so we're not going to have an episode, and it'll be next week, or that kind of thing. I don't know. Have you guys noticed? I that's just something I've noticed recently, especially when UK Traitors came out, and I was like, it's done already, and US was only on like episode 5, maybe.
Well, I'm a pretty big Gordon Ramsay fan, and he had his new season of Kitchen Nightmares, and it was like the weirdest schedule. They had like 2 episodes and then literally a 2-week break, and then 2 more episodes and a 2-week break. And I was like, how can anybody keep track of when this is ever going to come on again? Like, so it is weird.
Gordon Ramsay's on 5 other shows, and so
right.
So he's on every single week. But I tell you what, I'm glad that Australians do this because the world needs more Kelly, right?
Kelly. Just like Woody Harrelson sang in Cheers. Kelly. I mean,
she's a little cheeky. If you remember that was really annoying.
And remember, it is an election year, so maybe Kelly is the COVID. Maybe Kelly is the epidemic that we're all going to experience.
The earthquake, the grenade.
She is.
Yeah, the grenade. I had the grenades in here this morning. My puppies were taking over and they were destroying everything. And all I kept thinking was Kelly, because it just felt like someone had dropped a bomb in my studio. So, and then I had to shoo them out and off to another room with somebody else to watch them. But yeah, she is definitely a tornado, a tsunami. Whenever she comes in the picture, we had a lot of Kelly the last 3 episodes. Yeah. She played a part, I think, in every single thing, and lots to talk about with her. I want to kind of dive into episode 4, which was my responsibility to give the rundown on. And I'm telling you, with so much Survivor, when what happened on what episode gets a little muddled in my brain. And but we had some really good stuff on there. We did have the treasure chest. Was really excited about that. I think it's a cool little twist. Maybe talk to the production staff about building a stronger treasure box, so that it's not so easily opened. But Ferris gets this treasure box. He finds the key at the reward that they just won, and he's not the slyest. And I don't think anybody bought his lies. Yes, and Garrick, like Brandon said earlier before we started the show, Garrick was not the lookout you ever want to bring anywhere. He's just, I don't know what he was doing, counting coconuts on a tree or something. But they get discovered. Alex comes in, sees the whole thing, and they're like, "Oh, okay." It says, and it said something like, "You've already gotten a big power, now you've got another one," and he's playing that off with finding the treasure box was like the power. No, Ferris, come on, be a little smarter. And if you're out doing these things, you have the key, you know where the treasure box is, you're going to go open it, pay attention, like think ahead of time. You got 20 feet to walk. In that 20 feet, think about, if someone discovers me, what am I going to say? And he didn't do well. I don't think Alex bought it. Alex walked up upon them. I don't think he bought it. I don't think, if anybody was thinking, I can't see that Kirby would buy it either. There's just a lot of smart players on that. Kelly probably bought it because she, but it was a tough one. But good on Ferris to get the first immunity idol. Very cool looking. I like them. Well, he didn't get the first one. It was Frankie that got the first one. That's right. But yeah, first one for the Rebels. It was very exciting to see him win that. And then I really like the fact that they tipped their hat at the challenge and said, "Did you find your immunity box or your treasure box?" I thought that was really smart. I think that does like get people thinking and like, who's got it and where have they found it? The Titans weren't real keen on believing that, but it was interesting. So we had a good immunity challenge. I do love a good dodgeball. I mean, come on, they were terrible at it, let's be honest. But
Kirby was a beast.
I know she was catching everything, but that just plays into that. That's got to be her strength, right? Because she's
a former rugby player.
Yeah. So she's like prepared for that, not afraid of it, going to just like be hungry for it. But the Titans definitely had strategy, doing a lot of timing, making sure they hit them. Two of them coming at you at the same time, a lot harder to dodge. And the Rebels just didn't seem to quite understand that. So we saw.
It was kind of a strange dodgeball because they literally couldn't dodge. I mean, they were like in a platform that was about the size of them, right? So they didn't really have many options to dodge. So it was kind of a funny challenge.
It was a tough one, but it was fun to watch. I do like dodgeball. I have to say, and I want your guys' opinion on this. Are we just loving the goofball that Jaden is at this point? Because he's just like a goof. When he was playing dodgeball, I was like, he just was roughhousing people. He just shoved Garrick out of the way and was like grabbing the ball and feeding it to his team. And it was just like, I don't know.
Jaden can't be bothered outside of anything that's physical, right? So he even just said, this was kind of the last episode. He goes up and he goes, "Who am I voting for?" And then, they're like, "Oh, this person." And he's like, "Okay, bye." He's like, "That's all I need to know." Like, he's just totally disinterested in the play. All he wants to do is be out there and be physical. And he's good at, entertaining to watch, fun-loving guy. So, but not very much of a player, probably self-described that way.
There's not a lot of strategy going on there, I don't think, but he's fun to watch, right? He's fun, and he's just a big, he's big, and it just the way he batted people away, it was just like they were like gnats. You know what I mean? We're just like, let's just push him, like whoop, throw him right out of the way.
And to tell you the truth, he might be playing the only game a buff guy can play to win this game. I don't think he's going to, but what strong person that wasn't voted out, like a Jonathan and US Survivor, where they're just waiting for him to be voted out, that fourth or fifth. Can you play a smart, strong player and win this game? I don't know. Especially
with how physical Australia is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, like since this is Australian Survivor, I think he has less of a chance to win because the Australian Survivor, they're not about the happy-go-lucky person to win at the end, kind of like US Survivor sometimes turns into. But he is fun to watch. He is fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's definitely fun to watch. So I think there'll be a lot more fun with him since he seems to be kind of hanging on and hanging in there. And I want to see the physical stuff. Now, I thought it was really smart that later on he sits out of one of the challenges because these big guys don't always do well. And all of these challenges, some of them are made for, lighter, leaner players to play on. So it was really interesting. I thought the vote out was interesting. We had Tobias go home, but it was another Kelly moment where she really is very unpredictable. It's going to get her in trouble. She's hanging on by a thread anyway. But she is a weapon to be used in different ways, obviously. But yeah, changing her vote, they really wanted to push Sarah into a corner and make her choose, which I thought was really smart. Like Kirby is playing a smart game. She might be playing too hard, too fast.
Too early.
She's
Yeah,
super bossy. Like on
Yeah.
that second episode, she was just like, no. And every time somebody said something in a tribal, she was like, don't listen to that. She's like so,
And loud
I mean,
about
she's a
it.
coach, right?
That's a
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that her coach is showing. She needs
Yeah.
to tuck that back in
Yeah.
because that you can only go so far that early in this game.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Do you-
harder because she
Go ahead.
does have like that control. Like she's doing a great job kind of controlling, but with Australia, there's so many more people, right? And so like that type of bossy, really controlling maybe works with an alliance of, 3-4 people, but on Australian Survivor, there's so many more people. It's hard to control,
Right.
6 people at that level. So
And they're not merged yet. So all it takes is a tribe swap. It seems like it's about to happen after. We'll get to episode 6 here in a second, but it sounds like 7's going to be a tribe swap, and that gives people the opportunity to really voice their opinions about other survivors in a very friendly area away from those other people. And man, if she makes it past merge, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
well,
Do
that
we
fourth
think-
tri-
Go ahead, Alex.
Well, I was going to say at that fourth, episode 4, the tribal council, they go in there. Ferris it's kind of known that he probably has an idol. He's really feeling the heat, and the plan that they said was we're going to split the votes between Tobias and Alex,
Mhm.
right? Ferris plays his idol. He actually doesn't need to, which I was shocked. I was like, I think they are going to vote Ferris. It really seemed like Kirby was doing that. They actually did split the vote, and then Kelly decides to vote off Tobias because she felt, I could actually work with Alex, which I kind of agree with that. But it was funny when she goes back to Tribal on episode 5, Alex is like, I'm never going to work with her. Like, I hate this woman. So that was kind of funny. But I don't know. Did you guys feel that Ferris was going to go home at that moment? Or were you guys
No.
thinking you didn't?
No, I thought the idol play was he should have
Premature.
held on to it, but then he finds another one. So
Right.
I kind of feel like he's going to be, and I was going to talk about this later because I know that everyone's comparing him to George, right? King George, just
Yep.
because, and I don't see it. I really don't see it.
Watered down George, if anything.
Yeah, I don't see it at all. And he's starting to remind me of a player, and I'll hold on to that until we get to later because I definitely have a player, but just by what's been happening, this is what I'm seeing in him. Though I do like the guy, I have to say I do kind of like him. I think him and Kirby would make a really fantastic duo if they played together. But I don't think that'll ever happen. Unless we get a tribe swap where they end up on a team and they lose their main, like she loses Ree and he loses who is his main? Does he have a main? Like a number
Garrick
one?
and Raymond.
Garrick
and
and Raymond. Okay, both of which are questionable. So yeah, maybe that'll happen. I don't know, but I can't see it. But before we head into episode 5, I wanted just to say, do you have someone like Kelly? Do you keep with her? Do you keep her around because of her unpredictability at this point? I mean, besides the fact that she can't do challenges well and she's really highly annoying, I think those can play in your favor. Like you can use those two things, but the unpredictability, do you keep that around?
I don't. If I was playing this game, I would need to know that I know where that person's going to vote next round, like before it happens. And once I lose that, I don't think I might be able to think I can utilize them, but I'd be way too scared every single tribal council.
Yeah.
Alex?
I mean,
about you,
she's
Alex?
done that where she like has blown up the plan and said what shouldn't be said out loud. And that's a big risk, you know, especially going forward if you do want to be in an alliance with her. But I mean, she's really rubbing the people, you know, could she get to the end because she's just so grating on, you know, but this also, she is, you know, a psychologist, right? So maybe there is a method in this madness where, because she's been on the chopping block almost every single tribal council and has always gotten out of it. There's something to be said there.
All I need to do though is have somebody pay me $1 and I become a professional. Whatever I say, I'm a professional at.
Right.
So I think someone paid her $1 one time because I'm not seeing it yet. And maybe she has me fooled. Maybe she has me fooled, Alex. I don't know.
It's kind of like a Philip thing, right?
Yeah.
Where he said, "Oh, I knew I couldn't compete with Boston Rob, so I had to be this." Oh, I don't think that's her. I don't think she's playing a character. She's not an FBI agent or anything like that. But I mean, you know, it was interesting when she went over to, you know, the Rebels camp, or I'm sorry, the Titans camp. She seemed much more, maybe just infatuated with Nathan, so she wasn't as, you know, over the top. I mean, she came in very loud, but she just seemed to kind of calm down there a little bit. Maybe she had less antagonism from the tribe, right? So she just didn't feel the need to overcompensate with, you know.
And she might be a great psychologist, but I think the problem with psychologists in this game, if you don't realize that these people aren't really being themselves, like that's what you don't want to be. You want some facades here and there and everywhere. And so for somebody to be in psychology and think that they can do this because of psychology and because they can understand people, I don't know. Denise, you know, psychologist, different kind of psychologist, but I don't think she ever tried to, like, I don't remember her saying I'm a psychologist, so this. I just think that was Denise and knowing people well. Man, I think she's
that's a good comparison of like comparing Kelly, who, you know, and comparing Denise, which Denise, if you looked at her, you'd be like, yes, this woman's a great psychologist because she's very lunar and you know, Kelly's more like solar and yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that just says it right there. Yeah, Kelly is definitely the Cracker Jack box of, like, I pulled my diploma out of, you know, the prize of the Cracker Jack, which people like probably don't even know what that is anymore. But she's definitely a little. Here's my thing on her. She has, I would say, zero situation awareness. She really has no clue the effect that she has on people. She thinks that and my dog is chewing stuff. She thinks that she is just, you know, I didn't do it. Like, what? Why were you guys so slow in that challenge? Or why was, like, she doesn't see it? I've been working. I watched the fire. Okay, Kelly. There's just so much about her where she's just, even when they sent her over to walk over to what Ferris and Alex were talking about, she just kind of walks over there and is like, and like, it was just, I don't know. Anyway, I want to move into episode 5. Alex, I'll let you take it from here. I'm excited for this. This episode was actually one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. So, you know, getting off this episode, Kelly just, you know, disrupts the apple cart, votes off Tobias. They go back. You know, Alex is in a kind of a tough spot as far as alliances goes. Where does Alex go? You know, it's good that they're switching tribes because now he could kind of get in with the bros on the Titans team. It seems, so let's see. Mark finds the treasure chest with, I forget her name.
Valeria
or Viola or Valeria. He finds it with Valeria, the Russian chick, she's very passive. You know, you'd think that she'd be a little bit more, but she's just very kind of quiet and passive. And that's a super strong alliance there. Mark with Valeria and Viola, that's a very strong alliance, right? And Mark is playing it very, very good. So Mark is, you know, if he doesn't come off as a threat, having those two girls, and Viola is actually a pretty good player too. I mean, you saw that when she was trying to do that blind side. But I'll continue here with the recap. So they go to the challenge. They vote off Tobias, who's one of the stronger guys. They don't have him. The prize is a kids party, which was kind of weird. And they do the tug of war, or like the pushing the box, I think was the challenge, right? Or no. The challenge was the ropes, pulling the ropes, which was a really fun challenge. I really liked that one. It was like this dual face off.
It was
and
cool.
Kirby had this really good move where she like ran towards one of the idols and pulled it, you know, so it was a fun challenge to watch. But the best was that Raymond at the end, right? Raymond's you can't help but kind of be endeared to him because he is this kind of nerdy archetype. And at the end, he wins against Charles. So it was like this nerd battle, you know, it was a great thing.
Well, he started that off with the t-shirt thing, right? The t-shirt comment. If you guys caught that, he was like, "Hey, is that whatever?" And he's like trying to get this conversation going, and Charles was like, "No, like yeah, but like not trying to stay like I don't want to talk, like I don't want to be your friend or have this thing or whatever."
I thought one of them was going to get out one of those Pokemon balls and unleash one of.
I know. I was waiting. That would have been like classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were.
Yeah, so they're in the middle of the challenge and they're like, "Oh, what's your favorite video game?" And then JLP's like, "Stop!" Like, you know, and he's like, and they're like, "Start," and they both just freeze. They both don't move. So it was really kind of funny.
That was a great matchup. That was so cool.
And then they had the next challenge was, you know, this huge obstacle course, right? And at the end, they had to like so big. You know, I said this before, but the Australian challenges, the puzzles, it's always like big block. You know, like the American one, you're like doing these little, you know, intricate puzzles.
You can buy it on Amazon. The American,
yeah. The Australian challenge is like put big blocks together. You know,
Love
kind
it.
of in this archetype. Yeah. So then, who wins that challenge? It's the Rebels lost. So the Titans win that challenge pretty easily. Then they're going to tribal. And the consensus is, you know, Kirby's pretty in control. She's telling everybody what to do. And I don't think Ferris has the idol at this point. He finds it on. Does he find it on this episode?
No, he finds it on episode 6.
Yeah. So he doesn't have the idol. And so it's really looking like Ferris is going to go home. And then they're about to do the vote. And then JLP says, "You're actually voting somebody to go to the other tribe." And everyone's freaking out. Ferris has this big, you know, the smiling assassin grin on his face. And Kirby's like, "No, we can't send Ferris over." You know, and she's during this entire tribal council, every single time somebody has something to say, Kirby, no. It was really kind of a weird thing. But the consensus was that they all voted, and Kelly goes over to the other tribe to be a saboteur. They really love saying that. Saboteur.
I know. Putting Kelly on a mission. I think what's his name was the best. Was it Scott? He is just like, "She is our grenade, the Kelly grenade," or whatever he said. It was like, and it was just so perfectly said. I was like, "Yep, it's exactly what she is." You never know what you're gonna get because you know a lot of collateral damage can happen in there too. She got a big mouth. She's gonna talk about everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, you know, so that was kind of the episode, kind of anticlimactic. Kelly goes over to the other tribe, you know, goes in there. It was kind of funny. He wakes everybody up. Rebels are here. And now she has to saboteur the other team, which you know, Brandon, if you want to recap 6. I mean, that, you know, 5, I think the challenges were fun to watch, but not a lot of action as far as, you know, strategy, because there wasn't really a vote off, right?
I think we learned a lot about him. I think we learned a lot about like how Kirby works. We definitely got a clearer picture on Kelly, like just being the goofball that she is. And just that once I watched that episode, I was like, there is no rhyme or reason to Kelly. There is no master plan. I felt like there was a master plan when Gabler was on. And I always knew that he was up to something more. And there, you know, like there was a reason to what he did. And with Kelly, that kind of cemented it for me that she just had no clue. She's no clue what she's doing. This is just Kelly.
So. Yeah, which, you know, and it told us a lot about Kirby's game too, just how far she's willing to push her own agenda and how vocal she seemed to be about it the whole entire time. Brie, you mentioned, you know, with Kelly, the camera is catching her obliviousness very well. I mean, the deer in the headlights look is about every third take when they show her, even to the point, you know, going into now episode 6, where they basically at this immunity challenge, and I'll go back a little bit, but just to talk about the deer in the headlights, Kelly, look, you know, she sits down. She doesn't even play the challenge. and she doesn't know what to do about it. Like her proactivity or reactivity is horrible. So
Viola was saying that too when she was like telling Kelly to vote. She's like, you have to just say like one thing. You have to like brainwash her into the understanding the plan.
Yeah,
keep it super simple. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean she'll actually go through with anything that she said she was going through. Because she like the Titans. I mean, I kind of got that impression. And if I were Kelly, because she did sit out, you saw it on their faces of the rebels, like, you're supposed to sabotage them and you're sitting out. But if she was smart, the thing that I would say if I were Kelly, I would say, I had them up all night. I kept them from getting a good night's sleep. I just like made things crazy so that they couldn't focus. And that is how I sabotage, because I kind of knew I was going to sit out. So I did what I could. And I think that helped because they didn't have a clue on that puzzle. So I'm just going to, I mean, if I were Kelly, that's how I would play it off, regardless if that's what I did or not. Because to save face and kind of say, but I did do stuff, right? But I don't think Kelly will do. The chances of her coming back with that response, I slim to none. I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you.
And I do think this episode was where it really, I was thinking, I picked Eden to win, but I think this one really cemented how Mark is, because they have that Valeria, Viola. They can go with Jaden. They can go with Winna, right? They could also go with Caroline and Eden in that direction, right? And I was just like, wow, Mark is playing this game really, really well. So I think that was episode 5 for me. It was like, okay, maybe I should have picked Mark to win. But if he can keep under the radar enough, like I said, I think, but I do think he might come up as a threat, later on in the game from potentially Eden, right? If he's smart. And Eden is smart, because when they put Alex up, Eden was the one who went to Winna and said, hey, is this okay with you? I know this is like your boy. This is your friend. You guys are kind of in this brochacho like vibe. Is that okay with you? And that made me think, okay, maybe Eden really didn't have a pivotal part in any of these episodes. He's very kind of in the background of things, which was interesting. Because like when some of these votes were happening, I was thinking, where is Eden? Why is he not bouncing around and talking to everybody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was definitely more chill and relaxed than ever before, which bodes well for him, because I was getting worried for him. Alex, I know he's your winner pick right now. But he seems to be safe. So whatever was said to him, he's calmed down a lot since then. So going into episode 6 again, my curiosity is, maybe I'll get your guys' opinion on this. With that, the Rebels lost the game, so they were not immune. And I'm wondering, is it really that big of a win if you win immunity? But when you want immunity, that win actually means that someone's going to come to your camp and sabotage your team. Like that's another Australian. If Australian has a problem, it's sometimes creating a situation that didn't seem like they won anything. Does that make sense?
Right. They had that with the reward challenges too.
With the canned things.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it is weird. Yeah. The getting voted off. Oh, it actually means you get an immunity idol.
Right. Right. And you get to send somebody over there to have a better chance of them losing. I don't
and then
know.
They come back.
And then they're
not even out of the game.
And they get a shower and they get to brush their teeth. I mean, it's like they give them whatever they can. Right. They definitely do that. I don't know. I thought that going into this, first of all, I really thought that the sabotage, like setting a couple things on that, like startled me. First of all, I thought it was later in the season that they had done that in the past. So I was surprised to see them doing it so early. And secondly, I really thought that they were going to give Kelly the option to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Me too.
And I didn't see that. If we missed it, I didn't see that. So I really thought that she was going to be given an option and then have to make that decision. Right. Do I go back or do I stay here? Because she did really have a thing for Nathan, which was creepy. But Kelly.
So season 6, I'll give my official summary right now. Kelly arrived at the Titans camp, explains why she was evicted from the tribe, as Kelly does. kind of vague with the whole treasure box thing. Didn't say too much about it. Didn't seem like she knew too much about it herself. Maybe she didn't, because who knows what Kelly hears when people talk. Nathan's kind of worried about everything. Didn't know where he was in the tribe. And then hoping that Kelly would kind of be a decoy, or kind of, hey, let Kelly talk so I can clear my name a little bit and get back off that chopping block that he was on. I'm trying to think whatever happened at the Rebels camp at the time. Celebrates kind of the fact that Kelly's not there. They're kind of first like realizing,
finally peace and quiet.
Yeah. Oh, we can hang out. We don't have to play Twister anymore. Like those kind of things. Then the reward challenge happened. Do you guys remember what happened? It was a foothold.
Yeah. It was a fun challenge. I like the challenge a lot. They had their feet on the little planks and then lean against each other.
Yeah.
And the prize was toasties. Oh my gosh, toasties
and coffee. Which
and
I was.
coffee.
How does coffee go with toasties? First of all, it's like a grilled cheese sandwich, because come on, that's what it's called, not a toasty. But whatever, they can call it whatever they want. And but with coffee, I was like, that is such a like. Give me some iced tea, maybe, or like I don't know, but coffee.
I mean, I would like coffee out there. It'd be kind of nice, a little buzz, but
it just didn't seem like the combination that I would choose for myself.
Right. My wife
like questionable.
My wife has these little. She's gonna hate me for even bringing this up, but she collects these little pieces where it's like a nacho and a margarita, and there's a marshmallow and a hot cocoa drink, little stuffed animal things. I can't imagine a cocoa with a toasty. I kind of sign with that. Maybe a nice croissant with a coffee sounds perfect, but toasty. I'm waiting for the lollies to come back, guys. I miss lollies on Survivor.
You have your bean filled toasty in your coffee. Yeah, I'm gonna have a really great Survivor experience. Yeah,
they do a lot of that. It's a UK thing too, where they put like beans on toast, and I'm like, no, what are you doing? Like really?
Yep.
But who knows what they're eating down there? It's not rice and beans, and Carolyn's not telling you how much you can eat and like when you can eat. So,
But the Rebels won the challenge, and it was Aline and the brown hair girl who never really talks on the show. They were like super solid, so they destroyed that challenge. It was a fun challenge.
That was a fun challenge. Ferris sneaks off. He goes with Ray. They find another idol, or he finds another idol, just right in a tree. He tells Alex, because I think Alex was in the area, right?
I don't think he told. Did he tell Alex? Oh, he walked.
No, he told everybody.
He told everybody. He walked up to camp, and it was like, I found an idol.
So he didn't show it.
Shut
but he said he found
dude.
It. Right.
So, and maybe because he's on that chopping block a little bit more than he was, because he's talked about, hey, send you over as the saboteur. Who knows? Titans camp, Carolyn is annoyed by how much food the big guys are eating. Everybody's kind of not liking the Caroline thing. And then I'm trying to think what else happened during that time.
What would you do? Like, okay. Here's my thing on this.
Yeah.
And I really think there's something to be said about this. And this has bothered me for many seasons of Survivor. If you have a guy like Jaden and Nathan, and they are busting their butts at these challenges, and you need that strength, their caloric intake has to be higher than most people. So do you wouldn't you think to make allowances for that? Like, you can consist on a lot less when you're 5'2" and 100 pounds than a guy that's 6'2", 6'4", and 275. Like, right.
But Brie, I tell you, I'm married happily 10 years. I'm 200 pounds, 5'11", and my wife still gets mad about how much I eat, and I'm not even on Survivor. So I would think that would only triple with your emotions and lack of sleep to kind of show a little bit how irritated you are. And I don't know if my wife would be irritated at complete strangers that she's trying to win $1 million over, but I know that there's people out there, right, that like we need to eat meager portions. I want to be able to eat in 5 days. So she's definitely not thinking community on that one for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
don't know.
the guys should, big guy, like, they should get a little bit more of an allowance. Every time you do see them, though, they do have like a coconut in their hand. They are eating. That's understandable. And you also got to consider, they're out there for a lot longer on Survivor Australia.
Yeah.
They're out there for a pretty long time. So
James was
I
like,
could
"Yeah,
see
I
you
put
getting
up
grumpy about it, but in a game for $1 million,
275."
yeah,
Yeah.
a game for $1 million, you don't say you're
But it's
eating
not
too
$1 million
much.
in Australia either.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
true.
$2.50 or something. It's
Right,
like
right.
it's like but it's like I think it's 200. Is it 500,000 or 250,000? Like we should know the game.
I think it's like $250,000.
Yeah, it's just not that. It's a lot longer. It's a lot harder. It's a lot less money.
Yep.
Maybe the dollar goes farther down there. Maybe the equivalent, because our dollar sucks over here, is worth like a lot more. But I know the per diem that they get a day for being there is pretty small. I mean, it's like it's base, right? So every day they're still on the show, they get like a base pay. So players are not there to make a ton of money from it. I think there is a pride to Australia and a sense of a challenge that is a lot of the reason why these players are playing. Yes, the money is great at the end, but I think there is that they're doing it for the
title.
For doing it, right? Where in the US we're like, oh, it's $1 million. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that $1 million. Right. So like, I know, like going to Australia, Sandra went because she could go play with Nina, and they didn't have that opportunity in the US, and that's why they went. Certainly wasn't for the money, and they didn't get a lot of money from that, but they got the sense of, they went for the other reasons. And I think that maybe I think comes through to the fans and the people that are watching it, is that we get to see these people that are really in it for the spirit of the game instead of the cash payout, because it is harder, it is tougher, it is longer. And that's what Australia, that's the Australian mentality. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just what it seems like to this little American here, on why they play the game that they play, the way they play it.
I do think like it's maybe more of a phenomenon. It is kind of newer, and I think like probably per capita there might be more people watching it. So I think there is maybe more of that kind of initial Survivor. It's kind of new, right? If you think about like the first 10, 20 seasons of Survivor, there was this excitement. Now people say like, that show's still on? You're like, yeah, I watch every single season. They're like, what? So I think maybe in Survivor there's more, fame or notoriety that maybe come from it, so that maybe that's why. But yeah, also the cash prize is just not very big. So, but that's
speaking of not very big, this whole episode was called Saboteur, and so here's the chance for her to sabotage, and all of a sudden she sits on the bench. But maybe a gameplay move, maybe the fact that now she has 10 other friends who think of her a lot differently than her other tribe does. So maybe this is the smartest move Kelly ever has in the game, is just not doing anything, not upsetting the apple cart. She doesn't have to vote for anybody. She, even after the challenge, isn't trying to be on a side or trying to convince somebody to vote somebody out and then say, oops, peacing out, leaving. She kind of keeps to herself a little bit. So she does have it in her to do this. Maybe a smart move. I see her working with the Titans a little bit later in this game because of all this.
Yeah, if she sticks around.
She is a smart player at all. You guys, what do you think?
Well, I think she talked too much. I think she probably gave like some secrets away, and told some things. And I think any information is power when you're playing a game like this. You don't know all the dynamics of the other team. We have seen in past seasons of the US Survivor how not understanding the other tribe and the dynamics over there can really can screw you up. I think it happened to Rupert. It happened to a bunch of people where they were like, hey, dude, I'm coming and I'm telling you this. And then it's not heeded. It's not listened to, and it bites them in the butt and they're gone. Right. And so I think that, any information that they're getting is really, really important. I think it will really help them. We did see, and these guys have seen last season with King George and Shoney and all of these players, where they are passing information back and forth between the tribes and how that can benefit them. And I think if they're smart, they're going to continue to try to get that kind of information. But like we say, there's a tribe swap coming. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see if any of the information that Kelly shared, which we don't know the extent of, comes into play. and if it makes a difference.
Kelly makes the whole game hard to assess because you really don't know what she's thinking, even as a viewer. I think we know she's unpredictable, but sometimes with Abby Marie, you can kind of guess what her next move was going to be as somebody that viewed it. I don't know where Kelly's going to go with this. I don't know if she said all those things in order to save face with all those players to play them later, or if she just doesn't know what she's doing. And it sounds like Brie, you're thinking she has no clue what she's doing.
I'm not seeing that level that I saw with Gabler with her at all. And it is in her eyes. It is in the little bewilderment that I see in her face sometimes as she has this thing that she does that I actually find very amusing, where she'll be like, and she does this little thing. And I just find it really funny when she does it. And I'm just like, what does that mean? And so is there a secret strategy somewhere locked inside the mystery of Kelly? I don't know. I don't think so. That's my own opinion, though. Maybe there is.
Alex, where are we at on Kelly's mental state right now?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's, like I said, she's done a great job of always avoiding the vote, not being a threat. Maybe she has some self-knowledge around, yes, I am this verbose person. I am this, controversial person. But, you burn somebody once, you're unpredictable, you burn them. The next time it doesn't hurt so bad. And the next time it doesn't hurt so bad. And the next time it doesn't, and so people aren't offended by her. People aren't hurt by her. People aren't emotional about her. There's, she's this, Kelly, she's kind of quirky, right? And, she's so unpredictable. And yes, it's exasperating, but I know, she's not malicious, or she's maybe not a very good liar. I was going to say, I do feel like there's kind of a core 4 in the Titans tribe, which I think that this could be very good for them going on with Eden. So Eden, Charles, Caroline, and Kitty. Kitty's like the buff blonde chick. Mm-hmm. And and then they could pull in Raymond, and then Garrick and Raymond really connect because they're both very kind of reserved. They don't talk very much, and then Ferris can come into that. I mean, that could be a great kind of alliance there. This maybe not so, strongman alliance type of thing. So I just noticed that. That's what I wanted to kind of add. It's like, is this a core 4? Now, like I said before, core 4 isn't as strong just because of the quantity of players, right? But that's a very, very solid group, something this kind of nerd. Yeah. Something to watch for sure.
Absolutely.
No. And then Kelly, she's just that swing vote for everybody. But she truly is swing because she's swinging back and forth on every vote. Right?
And you don't know. It's kind of like a roulette wheel. You just kind of throw the thing on there, watch it spin around, and you're just hoping it's red, right? You're just like, I don't know, right? If it's going to work for me or not. Because you never know. I don't think Kelly knows until she gets up there.
I don't think she's a swing. I think she's one of those old school playground rustic metal things that you were afraid to die on that spun around, and I think
she's a tire swing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you thought you're going to die every single time you're on it. So the end of the episode is now where we're at, and Rebels win the immunity because they just win things all the time. Titans camp, she's reflecting on her decision to sit out, saying she likes the new tribe and didn't want to sabotage them. So who knows? Caroline begins rallying for votes to get rid of Nathan, and the majority crafts a plan to split the votes onto Jaden in case of an idol. However, Mark contemplates getting rid of Caroline instead of solidifying his alliance with Valeria and Viola. Viola informs Winna, first time I've heard Winna, and Jaden of the plan, and they agree, and they're slightly suspicious of her motives. So a lot going on, a lot of dynamics.
Well, there was that scene when they were in the water, and Viola walks up to Jaden and Winna, and I thought, like, man, is the plan changing here? Like, are they really going to vote like Caroline out? Didn't really make sense because, like I said, there is that core 4. I mean, it would drop down to a core 3. But I think Mark understands, like, he has to play with Eden. He has to play with Charles. Like, there's more room to work with there than with Jaden and Nathan. Yep.
And Jaden cemented that at Tribal when he was just like, I don't know what the plan is. Is there a plan? Right. I might need to talk to somebody. What is the plan? I don't know.
And I'm going to tell you guys, I think I'm ready already to say that Jaden is already 0% chance of winning this game. I think I'm there with him right now. Strong player, but I think he's at 0% right now. I
He
don't
might
think
be a goat.
they don't do goats on Australia Survivor though. Like they don't, do they? I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe not.
Maybe?
I would
Jerry,
have to look
maybe,
back.
but I don't, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a tough call. I mean, but like, you definitely do want to bring that person that's just that trusty golden retriever
Yeah.
that
Well,
listens and follows and nods and tell me what to do, tell me what to do, right?
yeah,
Like that's you need those people for a
yeah.
while.
I think he could be at the end, but I think he has 0% chance to win this game. And I still think Kelly has a little bit of a chance to win. Who knows? She's so unpredictable. So then, Tribal Council. Jonathan informs the tribe that Kelly's mission is complete. It's kind of like, oh, okay. And then she says, bye, a tear in her eye. She walks away. And then Nathan knows that he is finished. There's not a whole lot really to say there. There was something, Eden and Valeria comment that no one should ever feel too secure in the game. Jane expresses confusion about the plan because that's just his gameplay right now is confusion and hopes for a clue from somebody. No one's given him that clue. They read the votes 6-3-1. Jaden and Caroline, or Nathan over Jaden and Caroline. Fifth person out.
Caroline looked a little bit perplexed that her name was even put down. She did have this kind of look about her. I don't like her look. I didn't like her attitude. It's not her like physical appearance. I'm saying the little resting bitch face kind of thing that she did. I just didn't like it. I think you never should feel that comfortable. I really thought that maybe she'd cop a few more votes than that, to be honest with you. And so I was really surprised by her attitude. I don't think that will serve her well. I think people pay attention, especially Mark. There are some people that are watching, right? And so you might not be like in the top of their mind of you have to go home next, but as really strategic players are going through who they want to continue to work with, maybe Carolyn would be someone that you don't want to work with down the road. She can make things more difficult. And that kind of attitude, I have a heart. Like, it reminds me a little bit, and it's not that she's smart and dropping, the Agamemnon or whatever drops of knowledge that Drew was dropping, but it's starting to feel a little bit like a little superiority, I'm going to this is how much you can eat. This is what you can do. This is the way we're going to vote. And I'm really not that worried about myself right now. Honey, you should be. You should always be that way.
You don't want to be known as the nitpicky food Nazi going into swaps at all.
Yeah.
How's this swap going to pan out for everybody? Go ahead, Alex. Did you have some?
I was just gonna say, I think this plays into Mark, right? Of he's times before supported people's egos, appealed to people's ego about things, and so I think if we were to say what was his likely vote, well, he's building up that Caroline ego, right? So she does get kind of high and mighty, feels like she's in control, so she can be blindsided later. That's kind of why I was like, Survivor always does a good job kind of building that suspense of who, they always make it a back and forth, so it's never like 100% clear going in. But I did feel like, okay, the Caroline vote, might happen. But now that I think about it back, I'm like, no, it's very unlikely because you'd be burning a bridge with his Nerd Alliance, right? In place of this kind of Jock Alliance, which, he's a diplomat. He's kind of up there in this, not necessarily that nerd archetype, but he's not really on the Jaden level, right? Or the Nathan level. So it made sense. Like I said, Mark's playing a smart game here.
Yeah, it's like we got to make more friends with nerds. That's what they said.
That's a very common,
I think what you got to do is if you want to go out and play Survivor, Mark's game, I think out of all these players is the one to look at for, okay, this is how you do it. He made an alliance or made 3 people at least feel good about an alliance. And then he used that. Most people stay right there with that alliance. But then he's like, okay, so I have that. Now I'm going to get 2 more and have a little, not even a sub alliance, just a second alliance that I'm really going to stay with. I could switch back, but I'm going to build this smaller one stronger. And I think he's playing an A+ game right now. I think he's the only one playing an A+.
And he's always in control of the vote, even though he's not showing that he's in control of the vote.
Yep.
If he doesn't like the vote, like if they put a name out that's his name, then he lets them run with that. No ego involved, has no problems. Like, I don't want any of the credit for that, but I'm going to take credit when the time comes to take credit. And then if he doesn't like the name they're putting out, he can sway people to the name that he wants, and then still not make it his idea, which I think is brilliant.
Yep.
And that's the name of the game. He's also does have the chops. I think with some of these physical challenges, he'll do okay. I watched him on the last challenge. I was watching it this morning, and he doesn't slack off. He works really hard. He's doing a good job. So I think he's got a well-rounded game when it comes to things. And so that makes him probably the most dangerous person on the island right now.
And the right people are going home for him on both sides of on both tribes. So the game is also going into his favor because, as you guys know, Survivor is not just your strategy and your gameplay, but it's also what happens to help you out. And I think he's being helped out a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Viola is a very strong player too. Like I said, when she went up to Jaden and Winna in the water, and she's very smart, but it's hard to find because she is younger and it is a little bit of an older season. So it's hard to see, I think if it was a little bit younger, she could do very well, but I think she's very endeared to a lot of the older people and people really like her. And she's smart, strong, very well, kind of above average in all categories, as I've said. So, she's another one to watch, but I think it's hard because it is such an older kind of season. It'd be hard for her to find a way to the end, unless she's kind of like, she has that kind of little kid, kind of appeal to them, right? Like, we're gonna take her because that youthful. We'll take her because she's really nice. But yeah, they might want to vote her off because I could see her doing really well in these endurance challenges coming up because she's kind of small, compact, can probably do some of these
strong challenges.
Hell, man. Strong as
She is just. I'm so impressed with her skill and abilities. I think she'll do really well. I think we'll see a lot of change up happening with this swap. I think it's gonna be really exciting to see where people fall on this, like if Mark gets some of his core people in, or if he has to kind of, rethink how he's doing. I think it'll be interesting to see Ferris and Kirby. Those are the two that I'm really looking forward to seeing how that pans out for them coming in. Mm-hmm. If they're on separate tribes, they will last a long time. If they are together, I don't know if they can put their differences aside, or just they don't think they really have differences. It's just that they just both see each other as threats. I don't know if they can put that aside to further their game along, because I think if they are together, they're going to need each other. But what do you guys think?
It's a good assessment.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think they're both just they like to be in control. They're not backseat kind of players. Ferris teamed up with Garrick and Raymond, who are very passive because he wants to be in control. And Kirby, I think, also wants to be in control. But yeah, I agree. If they did put their differences aside, especially if they're on the same tribe, Ferris has an idol, but I don't know. I don't see it. Kirby she really rubbed me the wrong way these episodes. She was so passive and quiet, and then she's just come out, real coach, really, a lot of coach energy. So it's just, I don't know. I'm not really vibing with Kirby. I'll also say this too. Rihanna and Scott, they haven't said a word the entire game. I mean, these people, they're barely even on the show. It's kind of insane how not very often you see these people. So they could be
sleeping during that one challenge, the reward challenge, when they were back to back. She was like taking a nap.
Yeah.
So
what do you think, Brandon? You think Kirby and Ferris can get along, or two?
No, I don't think they get along at all. I think that if they could find a way to get along, I think that could send them to the end. Because to have animosity with each other and everybody's thinking, okay, they would never pair, and yet they did, is a fantastic strategy. But that kind of personality, it takes a lot of patience and trust that the personality doesn't come with. So we'll see. We'll see. It could be a big brother or big brother's young sister relationship, but I think they're way too conniving to do that.
Well, I wanted to compare a few of these guys, and since we're on the topic of Ferris, Brandon, you had this great idea of like taking some of these current players and comparing them to some of our favorite or our least favorite Survivor players of all the seasons of all the places. And Ferris, I'm not giving him the King George. I'm sorry, I don't think that they're even in the same ballpark. But in the lack of awareness of people around you, with like telling everyone you have an idol and kind of like, oh, I would like pita and hummus or something, just kind of his attitude, and also just his dismissiveness of people like Kirby and a few of the other players. And now he's just finding idols and thinks, I'll just find an idol whenever I want. I'm talking about the one and only Russell. I think did you see that coming? He reminds me, he's obviously not to the extent in the bullying and that kind of thing yet. We haven't seen everything yet. So we don't know if that's something. But I think with him, if I can compare Ferris to anyone, I'm going to go with Russell. I really, really think there's a similarity between those two players. If that's the game he's playing, the manipulativeness and I can find an idol when I want, and just thinking he's better than other people, but not in the endearing King George way. Yeah, that's mine. Anybody else got something that they want to compare?
Okay. Setting the bar. Alex?
Ferris. I mean, you can kind of see some of the King George connection. Sometimes I feel like Ferris is almost trying to talk like King George in some ways. Though, I don't know. You come back to me on Ferris.
Okay,
I'm not
Brandon.
sure exactly how he's playing.
I'm going with another King, and it's King Tony. Based on just the amount of smiles he does, I think that again, Ferris is a watered down version of 3 players. I don't think that he is a top tier guy. I think he's made way too many mistakes. I think he's way too loosey goosey, kind of like Tony was on his second season. But smart, finds the idols, does that, smiles a whole heck of a lot, and is very surprised when someone's not on his side because of his not relatable personality. But like you said, he's not a Russell to where he does have some people that do get along with him.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna go watered down King Tony / George.
There we go.
Generic brand.
The generic brand. Okay. The Kirkland brand.
Did that buy you enough time, Alex?
I think Tony, I'm going to copy you. I think Tony is kind of a good pick. I mean, it's different because he's not a cop and stuff, but he's playing a pretty blatant game, and he's kind of supplementing with the idols, right? Big threat, seen as a threat. And he's just like, finding these idols and teaming up with relatively passive people too. So
yeah,
I think Tony's a good maybe comparison.
Well, I think Ferris is going to have his hands full coming up with this swap. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next 3 episodes. We're going to have a lot of more Survivor. We're also going to be doing a look at season 46 of the US version. We'll probably do a special look on that. It won't be during our regular show because there's so much to talk about and there's so many new players, and we already have a lot to cover with Australian Survivor. Life is going to be busier than ever coming up here in a couple of weeks, and Gina will be rejoining us. She's taking a little break to get lots of work done. So thanks for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. Please subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends about it. We love what we do. This is our fun part of our week where we don't have to do our normal day jobs and we can just have a good time with you guys as Super Survivor fans. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.